Last night, our anniversary dinner was supposed to be sweet, just us, cozy, until Adam pulled up old photos on the big TV and my laptop accidentally linked, flashing something totally unexpected, an email about my secret passion. Right there on the screen for him to see. His face, oh, it just froze like he'd seen a ghost, his fork halfway to his mouth, a look of pure confusion and shock, a look I still can't quite figure out. Before we continue, tell me in the comments, where are you watching from? I'd love to know. You know, sometimes you get stuck. Like, really stuck. For 5 whole years, my life felt like it was playing on a loop, always the same notes, never hitting that big, soaring chorus I used to dream of. My name is Ella, by the way, and I always loved to sing. Since I was a little girl, singing was my happy place. I'd hum along to the radio, belt out tunes in the shower, even scribble lyrics in my notebooks instead of taking notes in class. Sorry, Mrs. Henderson. It wasn't just a hobby, it was a part of me, deep down, like how some people need to draw or write. It was my way of letting out everything, the good and the bad. I even sang in a small band back in college, just local gigs, nothing big, but I loved it. The stage lights, even dim ones, felt like home. The way my voice would fill the room, even if it was just a tiny coffee shop, it gave me this buzz, you know? A feeling like I was finally where I was meant to be. Then I met Adam. He was charming, funny, a bit loud, but I liked that at first. He seemed to like my singing too, back then. He'd clap the loudest, tell me I was amazing. You have such a beautiful voice, Ella, he'd say, all smiles. But after we got married, and as the years went on, something shifted. Slowly, almost like a really quiet fade out on a song, his support started to disappear. It wasn't a sudden, dramatic stop, no, nothing like that. It was more like a slow, draining process. At first, it was subtle. I'd sing around the house, just humming, and he'd say, could you maybe, just a little quieter, honey? I'm trying to concentrate on the game. Or, that song is a bit much, isn't it? Then it got a bit sharper. I'd talk about maybe joining a local open mic night, just for fun, and he'd laugh. Not a kind laugh, more like a scoff. Open mic? Really, Ella? Aren't you a bit old for that now? Or, don't you think people would expect more? You know, from a real singer. Those words, they started to pile up, like heavy stones in my pockets, dragging me down. 5 years of it. 5 years of him making fun of my little dream. If I suggested taking lessons again, he'd roll his eyes. What for? To sing louder in the shower? We have bills to pay, Ella, not professional hobby expenses. Or, you really think you're going to be the next big thing at 30-something? Be realistic. Each comment, each dismissive wave of his hand, chipped away at me. I started to sing less. First, I stopped humming in the living room. Then I'd only sing in the shower when he wasn't home. Eventually, even the shower lost its magic. My voice, my joy, it started to feel like a secret shame. It felt like my dream was just a joke to him, something silly and childish that I should have grown out of. I started to believe him. I started to think, maybe he's right. Maybe I am being silly. Maybe I should just focus on our life, our house, our routine. My old guitar, a beloved Christmas gift from my parents, gathered dust in the corner of the spare room, its strings silent, a quiet accusation. One evening, it was particularly bad. We were at his brother's annual barbecue, a big noisy affair. I was helping Aunt Carol with the grill, flipping burgers, just minding my own business. Someone put on a classic rock song, one of my favorites, and I unconsciously started humming along, really quietly, just to myself. Aunt Carol heard me. Ella, that's beautiful. You have such a lovely voice, dear. Why don't you sing for us sometime, she said, kindly. Adam, who was nearby, holding a beer, heard her. He didn't miss a beat. He chuckled, a loud, booming sound that made everyone look our way. Oh, Aunt Carol, you don't want that. Trust me, he said, winking at his friends. Ella's voice is best enjoyed in the bathroom with the fan on. We wouldn't want to scare the neighbors, would we, sweetie? He even patted my back, like it was all a big, funny joke. His friends laughed, a few of them, and I felt my cheeks burn. It wasn't just humiliation. It was like he had reached inside me and twisted something fragile. It was a cold, stark moment, a slap in the face. It wasn't just a casual jab anymore. It was public, it was cruel, and it stripped me bare. My smile felt frozen. I just forced a weak laugh, pretending it was funny. But inside, something cracked. It wasn't a loud crack, more like a tiny, determined fracture. I spent the rest of the evening quiet, just nodding, feeling invisible. That night, lying in bed next to Adam, who was already snoring, I stared at the ceiling. The silence in the room felt heavy, suffocating. I replayed his words, the laughter, the dismissive wave. And a new feeling started to bubble up, hot and strong. It wasn't sadness this time. It was anger. And then a tiny spark of defiance. No, he didn't get to decide what my dream was. He didn't get to decide if I was good enough or if it was realistic. This was my thing. It was my joy. And I wasn't going to let him take it from me anymore. The next morning, I woke up with a clear head. The dull ache of humiliation was still there, but beneath it, a new resolve had formed, hard and unyielding. Adam left for work early, like always. As soon as his car pulled out of the driveway, I grabbed my laptop. My fingers trembled a little as I typed singing lessons near me into the search bar. I scrolled through a few options, looking for something discreet, something that wouldn't show up on a bank statement in a way Adam would notice. I needed a teacher who understood, someone kind. That's how I found Ms. Evelyn. Her website was simple, just a few photos of a cozy-looking studio with a piano and a short bio. She was an older woman, silver hair, kind eyes in her photo, a former jazz singer herself. She offered flexible hours and, crucially, accepted cash payments. Perfect. I sent an email, just a short one, asking about availability. Within an hour, she replied, warm and inviting. My first lesson was set for the following Tuesday evening, when Adam usually had his weekly poker game with his buddies. It felt like a grand conspiracy, a thrilling secret. I told Adam I was joining a book club, a total lie, but he barely registered it anyway. He just grunted, good for you, Ella. He didn't even ask what book we were reading. That stung a little, but it also fueled my determination. This was for me. Just for me. My first lesson with Ms. Evelyn was amazing. I was so nervous, my voice shaky, my throat tight. I hadn't really sung in years, not properly. She just smiled, her eyes crinkling at the corners. Breathe, dear, she said, her voice soft and melodic. Just breathe. Your voice is in there, I can hear it. We just need to dust it off a bit. We worked on simple scales, on breathing exercises. I felt awkward, clunky, but also alive. It was like finding an old friend you thought you'd lost forever. The joy, the pure, unadulterated joy of making music again, even just simple notes, filled me up in a way I hadn't felt in years. When I left her studio that night, the crisp autumn air felt different, cleaner, full of possibility. I hummed all the way home, softly, a little tune just for myself. I knew this was the start of something big, something important, something Adam would never understand. But that was okay. It didn't need to be for him. It needed to be for me. My book club started meeting every Tuesday evening, faithfully. Adam didn't question it. He'd just wave me off with a casual, have fun with your ladies, Ella, before settling in with his poker buddies in the garage, loud laughter and the clinking of bottles filling the house. My actual destination, Ms. Evelyn's cozy studio, became my sanctuary, a small haven where I could truly be myself. I'd carefully put away my lesson notes, my special vocal exercises, even my water bottle, hiding them in a canvas bag in the back of my closet, tucked beneath old sweaters. The secrecy was thrilling, a little adrenaline rush every time I snuck out, but also terrifying. What if Adam found out? Not just about the money, though that was a worry, but about the dream. The humiliation of him discovering I was still clinging to it, despite all his mocking, that thought made my stomach twist. But the joy of singing again, it outweighed the fear. Miss Evelyn was more than a teacher. She was a mentor, a kind, patient soul who saw something in me that I had almost forgotten. Your voice has a real warmth to it, Ella, she'd say, her eyes twinkling. It's honest, heartfelt. That's a rare quality. We worked on everything: pitch, tone, breath control, even stage presence, though I mostly just sang to the piano in her studio. Each week, I felt a little stronger, a little more confident. The rusty gears in my voice box slowly started to turn smoothly again. The high notes that once felt impossible now felt reachable. The low notes gained a new richness. It was like I was rebuilding a part of myself, brick by brick, song by song. I started practicing at home too, mostly when Adam was at work. I'd put on headphones, connect my phone to a small, cheap microphone I'd bought online using a prepaid gift card, and sing along to backing tracks, recording myself. Listening back was hard at first. I'd cringe at my mistakes, my insecurities. But then I'd hear glimpses of the old Ella, the one who loved music fiercely, and a little spark would ignite. Adam's casual jabs continued, of course, because he had no idea. Sometimes, when I'd be in a particularly good mood after a lesson, humming a new melody, he'd look up from his phone. "Still doing your little book club thing, huh?" he'd ask, a hint of an amused smile playing on his lips. "What's next, a pottery class? Don't tell me you're thinking of becoming an artist now." He'd laugh, a dry, dismissive sound. I'd just force a smile, a practiced, blank expression. "Just enjoying my hobbies, Adam," I'd say, trying to keep my voice even. Inside, though, I felt this growing resilience. His words didn't sting as much anymore. They felt distant, like white noise. Because I knew something he didn't. I knew what I was really doing. I knew that my little hobby was turning into something real, something potent. And that knowledge, that secret, was my strength. It was my quiet rebellion. After about 6 months, Ms. Evelyn gave me a gentle push. "Ella," she said after a particularly strong rendition of an old blues song, "you're really ready for the next step. You have something to say with your music. People need to hear it." My heart did a little flutter. "Next step?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. She smiled. "Record some of these songs. Put them out there. Even if it's just online for now. Get used to sharing your voice." The idea terrified me. What if people hated it? What if no one listened? What if it was all for nothing? But then, what if she was right? What if it wasn't nothing? That night, I couldn't sleep. Her words kept replaying in my head. People need to hear it. My fear slowly started to give way to a different emotion, a quiet determination. I decided I would do it. Not for fame, not for money, not even for Adam to hear. For me. To prove to myself that I could, that my voice deserved to be heard. I spent weeks honing a few of my favorite original songs, lyrics I'd written years ago and music I'd composed during my secret practice sessions. I borrowed Ms. Evelyn's good microphone for a weekend, carefully recording the tracks in my home office, laying down vocals over simple acoustic guitar and piano backing tracks I'd created. I learned about mixing and mastering from YouTube tutorials, fumbling my way through free software. It was tedious, frustrating, but also incredibly rewarding. Finally, I had 3 songs ready. I created a new online profile, using a pseudonym, Alara Song. Alara, because it sounded like Ella, but just a little different, like a secret version of myself. Song, because, well, that's what I was finally putting out into the world. I uploaded the songs to a music-sharing platform, clicked publish, and held my breath. It felt like stepping off a cliff. Days turned into a week. I checked the page constantly, my stomach clenching with each refresh. Nothing. A handful of listens, probably just me checking it on different devices. My confidence started to waver. Maybe Adam was right. Maybe I was just being silly. The little spark of defiance started to dim. Then, one evening, after a particularly draining day at work, I slumped onto the couch and, almost out of habit, opened the music platform. And there it was. A comment. Just one, from an anonymous user. "Your voice is really something special. Keep going. Don't stop." My eyes welled up. It was just a few words from a stranger, but it felt like a lifeline. It felt like someone, somewhere, actually heard me and liked what they heard. It gave me a jolt of energy, a quiet, fierce resolve to keep going. The next few months were a blur of secret lessons, late-night recording sessions, and furtive glances at my Alara Song page. The numbers slowly, almost imperceptibly, started to creep up. More listens, a few more comments. Nothing viral, nothing earth-shattering, but it was something. My musical growth, however, was not without its close calls. One afternoon, I was practicing a tricky new melody, a little too loudly perhaps, when Adam came home early, completely unexpected. He usually didn't get back until after 6. I scrambled, pulling off my headphones, frantically minimizing the recording software on my laptop. "Ella? You home?" he called out from the living room. "Yeah, honey, just reading," I stammered, my heart thudding in my chest, feeling like a teenager caught doing something forbidden. He poked his head into the office. "Reading?" "Sounded like something else," he said, eyeing my laptop, which was now showing a bland spreadsheet. I just shrugged, forcing a casual smile. "Just a bit of music playing in the background, you know." He squinted at the screen for a second, then dismissed it. "Right. Well, I'm starving. What's for dinner?" My relief was immense, almost nauseating. The fear of discovery was real, a constant, low-level hum beneath the surface of my secret world. I knew that his mockery would be even worse if he found out, not just that I was still singing, but that I was good at it. That I was doing it without his knowledge or approval. The thought made me feel both terrified and strangely powerful. It was my secret. It was my growing strength. And it was mine alone. The days leading up to our anniversary dinner felt weird. It was our 10th year, a big one. Adam was surprisingly focused on it, making reservations at that fancy Italian place downtown, the one with the white tablecloths and tiny portions. He even bought me a nice necklace, a little silver heart. It felt like he was trying, in his own Adam way. And I was trying too, trying to feel excited, trying to forget all the years of quiet hurt. But beneath it all, the secret symphony of my life was building to a loud, unstoppable crescendo. My Alara song profile was blowing up. Not like Beyoncé level, but for me, it was insane. One of my songs, a really heartfelt ballad about finding your own voice, had somehow caught fire. Suddenly, my listen count was in the thousands, then tens of thousands. Comments poured in, not just nice voice, but people sharing how the song made them feel, how it helped them. It was overwhelming in the best possible way. Then, about a week before our anniversary, the email arrived. I was just checking my inbox, sipping coffee, still in my pajamas, when I saw it. The subject line was bold, official-looking, record deal offer, Alara song. My hands started to shake so hard I almost dropped my mug. It was from a small but reputable independent label, one I'd actually heard of. They had found my song, loved it, and wanted to talk about an exclusive recording contract with an initial offer of $1 million. My breath hitched. $1 million. For my singing. The singing Adam had mocked for 5 years. I read the email 3 times, then 5, my eyes scanning every word, looking for a catch, a prank. But it was real. So incredibly, undeniably real. I wanted to scream, to cry, to dance all at once. But Adam was still asleep. So I just sat there, clutching my phone, a silent storm raging inside me. This wasn't just a dream come true, it was a vindication. A quiet, powerful explosion of proof. The anniversary dinner finally arrived. I wore the dress Adam liked, put on the necklace. We exchanged gifts. He was in a good mood, talking about work, about his golf game. I tried to focus, to smile, but my mind kept drifting to that email, sitting in my inbox, untouched since that morning. I hadn't replied yet. I didn't know how to reply. Or when to tell Adam. Or if to tell Adam. The moment felt too big, too important, to just blurt out over pasta. We finished our main courses, and Adam, in a rare moment of sentimentality, decided to show me a slideshow of old photos from our wedding, our first home, vacations. I set it up earlier, he said, gesturing to my laptop, which he had connected to the big screen TV in the living room while I was getting ready. Thought it would be a nice touch, for old time's sake. He scrolled through the photos, smiling, reminiscing. I watched, a knot forming in my stomach. The laptop was on the coffee table, projecting onto the TV. And my email inbox was open in one of the tabs. I had forgotten to close it. As he clicked through a photo of us on our honeymoon, laughing, my eyes darted to the TV screen. My heart leapt into my throat. The screen changed for a split second, a flicker as he accidentally brushed the trackpad. It wasn't a photo that popped up. It was my email. The subject line, clear as day, for anyone to read, *** record deal offer, Alara song, $1 million exclusive contract, ***. It flashed, then disappeared as he corrected his mistake, bringing back the honeymoon photo. But it was there. And he saw it. I saw his eyes widen, his smile slowly fading. His hand, holding his fork halfway to his mouth with a piece of tiramisu, just froze in midair. His face went pale, then a reddish flush started to creep up his neck. His eyes, usually so confident and dismissive, were now wide with confusion, then disbelief, then a flicker of fear. He just stared at the TV, then at me, then back at the TV, his mouth slightly agape. The silence in the room stretched, thick and heavy, punctuated only by the soft jazz music playing in the background. "Adam?" I asked, my voice surprisingly calm, almost a whisper, but it cut through the silence like a knife. He blinked slowly. What was that, Ella?" he mumbled, his voice hoarse, barely audible. What was what? I pretended, just for a second, to be oblivious. A tiny, defiant smirk played on my lips. He pointed a trembling finger at the TV, then at my laptop. That email. Alara song? $1 million. He looked utterly lost, like a child who had stumbled upon something he couldn't possibly comprehend. I took a deep breath. This was it. The moment I had simultaneously dreaded and yearned for. Oh, that, I said, a casual shrug, though my insides were churning with a mixture of fear and pure, unadulterated triumph. That's just a little something for my hobby. His eyes narrowed, then comprehension dawned, slowly, painfully. Your book club, he stammered. I shook my head, a small, knowing smile on my face. No, Adam. My singing. He was speechless. He just sat there, frozen, his tiramisu untouched. For 5 years, I said, my voice gaining strength, you told me my singing was a joke. That it was silly. That I was too old. That I should just be realistic. His head bowed slightly, his gaze fixed on the pristine white tablecloth. But I didn't stop. I took lessons secretly. I recorded my songs secretly. And I posted them online secretly. I paused, letting the weight of those words hang in the air. And that email, Adam, that $1 million email, that's from a record label that wants to sign me. He looked up, his eyes pleading, searching. Ella. I didn't know, he whispered, his voice laced with genuine regret, maybe even a touch of panic. I was just teasing. You know me, I just joke around. I looked at him, really looked at him, and for the first time in a long time, I saw him not as my husband, but as a man who had underestimated me, dismissed me, and tried to shrink my world. It wasn't just teasing, Adam, I said, my voice firm, but not angry. It hurt. It made me hide a part of myself that I loved. But I learned something important through all of it. I reached across the table, not to hold his hand, but to gently push the dessert plate closer to him. I learned that my dreams aren't for you to validate. They're for me to pursue. And now, I am. He tried to apologize, to backtrack, to explain. Ella, please, I'm so sorry. I was wrong, I see that now. This is amazing, truly, for you. But the words felt hollow, too little, too late. The moment, the raw, shocking clarity of it all, had shifted something fundamental between us. The conversation that night, after the initial shock wore off, was quiet, strained. He kept trying to make amends, to praise my talent now that it had a $sign attached to it. But the magic was gone. The trust, chipped away over 5 years, couldn't be instantly rebuilt. The next day, I called Chloe, my best friend. Chloe, I practically screamed into the phone, tears of joy and relief streaming down my face. You won't believe what happened. I got a record deal. She squealed, a joyous sound that filled me with warmth. I told her everything, the secret lessons, the online success, the anniversary dinner, Adam's frozen face. Oh, Ella, she cried, I knew it. I always knew you had it in you. Her genuine excitement was a balm to my soul. I met with the record label a few days later. They were wonderful, truly passionate about my music. The contract was real, the opportunity immense. As for Adam and me, the $1 million email didn't fix things. It shattered them in a way, but also allowed something new to grow. We're taking a break, living apart for a while. He needed to understand that my dreams are not negotiable, and I needed to find out who Ella was without his shadow. I'm moving forward with my music with Alara Song. It feels like I'm finally breathing properly, finally singing my own true song. The humiliation, the years of feeling small, it all forged a strength in me I never knew I had. And the revenge? It wasn't about hurting Adam. It was about healing myself, about proving to myself that I was worth fighting for. That my voice, my dream, mattered. And now, the world is listening. I made the first deposit into my savings account today, a solid chunk of that $1 million advance, ready to fund my new beginning. Tell me in the comments, what's a dream you secretly nurtured until it finally took flight?